Well. Good evening and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another round and another adventure in the Danish Automobile Sports Union F4 Esports Danish Championship for 2025, as proudly brought to you on the premier sim racing platform known as iRacing. Today marks round 5 or 6 in the championship, and we have made our way from the United Kingdom to Spain for the Circuito de Navarra, with which we'll be racing on the medium layout of the circuit, not quite the full extent, but somewhere in between, and while the shorter layout of the circuit, spanning only the best part of what is their 1.66 miles. At its heart is a unique combination of hairpins and sweepers, also some rather elongated straights, and therefore, whereas previous rounds have seen quite a priority on the slipstream, this truly is going to be the ultimate slipstream fest today, as our drivers look to try and get the best possible score before heading into our season finale at Sebring in only 2 weeks' time. But as we get ready to go racing today, all your racing action is going to be brought live to you from circuit side, and in the content booth you have myself, Paul Walsh, and joining me as always is the ever popular Dane of Hasse Roma. Good evening to you, Hasse, and how are you doing today?
Well, thank you, Paul. I'm doing very well, and I hope you are as well. But we've been looking forward to this one as well. It's my first visit to this track. I've seen no racing whatsoever, so a huge bit of excitement for that, just to see how it turns out with the racing on track and everything. And then, of course, Paul, all eyes on Malte Edprop, who, if the results go his way tonight, will be able to wrap up the championship title before the last 2 rounds 2 weeks from now. So we'll be taking a closer look at that as we go into the racing, and especially into Heat 2. But you think he knows the pressure is on tonight?
Oh, indeed, he could wrap it all up, like you say, and those permutations, there's plenty of them so far, and of course he'll be wanting to wrap things up before we do go to Sebring, and as you can see there, on the 31st of March, not too far away to wrap up the 3rd month of this calendar. It's crazy to think we're already midway through March. We have roared our way from Spa all the way to Spain, and now we're here today, and well, we could wrap up the title, but there's still plenty of else up for grabs before we do head to Sebring, and even there at Sebring, there's going to be plenty of fights to be had, and here are the latest championship standings, the top 10 after what is 4 rounds, and as we can see, Malte Edprop there with the lead of 17 points. He needs to emerge from today with an advantage of 38 points or more over Victor Truslov-Nielsen in order to be charging his way to that crown with a round to spare. But keep your eyes out for the likes of Noah Carlson in P3, trying to hold off Marcus de Coulson, also there's Sander Broberg, Marcus Olsen in P6 on 88 points, only 5 ahead of both Sebastian Buck and Kasper Riso Andersen, and Nicholas Simonsen and Asger Lauritsen completing up that top 10. And right now, whilst the battle at the very top may be going to a 2-horse race, there's still plenty of battling to go on all the way through P3 through to P10. And it means, Hasse, even if we do see our champion crowned tonight, we still got plenty to look forward to, and indeed, there's not going to be any lack of action wherever you look up and down this grid.
No, of course not. And these drivers, Paul, they're racers at heart. And a lot of them with the real life experience, they race because they, I think, can't stop, and they won't stop, and they'll keep on racing, I think, even if the championship is settled as well. So I can't imagine it being a boring race, even with the championship settled in 2 weeks.
Oh, 100%. And as we do look there to Malte Edprop as he gets himself set in the cockpit there, and well, currently in the thrall of getting ready to go back out there for some more qualifying laps. And this circuit right now, definitely a circuit which, whilst it's a little bit silent, it may feel a little bit sparse, remembering the fact that it is going to feel a little bit silent in that our drivers are not all going to be sharing the same tarmac per se in qualifying. They're all in an isolated qualifying session. So this really means it's going to be a very different style of round tonight. In the fact, qualifying is lone qualifying for our drivers. They all need to put in the best possible lap they can. But the thing is, it's only going to put them somewhere on that grid. And after that, it's all going to be about the slipstream when we do go racing. And with the slipstream being so powerful, as we're going to be seeing, or you can start to imagine, ladies and gentlemen at home, when we do ride on board for some of these qualifying laps, it means that even being on pole is not necessarily the best place to be. Perhaps it's best place to be as P2 or P3. But we'll have to see as we do look there to what is Sebastian Buck as he makes his way on around, coming out of that turn at number 4 and in towards 5. And we're talking about earlier, Hassan, the fact that whilst we're not running the full layout of the Spanish circuit, we're running the layout whereby we sacrifice a few of the lower speed corners, we prioritise the hairpins and also the high speed sweepers, and it means around here there's going to be plenty of opportunities to overtake and plenty of opportunities for our drivers to dare venture 2, 3, perhaps even 4 wide, and they've been no strangers to that this season, have they?
Certainly not, and it's the first time since the opening round at Spa that we're going to a track that really has this sort of dynamic with long straights and big braking zones and plenty of places. And if you cast your mind back to that opening round, that was some of the most intense, hectic, crazy racing that I have ever seen personally, and we were losing our jaws, both of us, Paul, over what we saw that night. And with that in mind, I think we might be in for a very good one here tonight.
Oh, indeed. And keeping in mind, of course, we've come off the back of arguably one of the best overtakes, if not the overtake of the season at Donington Park by Victor Nielsen, making a 3 wide in his hunt for victory in race number 2 at Donington Park, which he finally broke the stranglehold that Mulder Edrup had. But as we looked here to Nicholas Simpson as he makes his way down towards turn number 6 on that run and bumping over the changes in road surface there, which unsettles the car a little bit, and hold on the brakes. Oh, goodness me. A big snap there. You can imagine just how hard he's pushing to try and get that car rotated into the apex. Indeed, these Formula 4 cars, you can feel the frustration a little bit there. So deciding to take a bit of a breather and just parking up. You've still got 5 minutes to go, but that's one unhappy driver.
Yeah, and Victor Truslow Nielsen second in the championship. He's 10th at the moment here in qualifying. The top 10 within 0.3 of a second, or just about bar 5,000ths of a second, but it's close enough. And we will see the lap times drop, I'm pretty certain. But we saw it as well in practice here just before the race and just before the broadcast started as well. The lap times were extremely close. And it's going to be so marginal with who gains pole position. You could say as well that with this sort of track dynamic, maybe it'll be a little bit easier to make up positions from further back the grid, but obviously you still want a good result in qualifying, and although you want the 3 points that are for pole position.
All very true, and points do mean prizes this late on in the game when it comes to championship, as we ride on board with Luke Reimer for a period of time as he makes his way on through turn 6 and in towards 7, and now up the hill he goes in towards the braking zone for turn number 8. And one of the things to note here as he roars his way on through, many of you will notice the curves around this circuit are very flat in general, but they do have some rather high sausage aspects to them on the inside curving of those hairpins, and that does mean if you ride a little bit too high you can very quickly unsettle the car, and that means that sometimes being on the inside line, particularly under battling, isn't always the best place to be, as we do go from Luke Reimer to Gustav Killer, who they're parking up for a brief moment into P7. But look at those gaps in this qualifying session. I mean, we've had a top 15 separated previously by 1 second, but today our top 15 is not even separated by half a second. It's that tight right now as Casper Risto Anderson roars onto another lap, and what can he do here? Currently P11, and in other days you'd think 2/10 off a pole, that's fantastic. Here, 2/10 is like a lifetime.
2/10 is going to make you far off here, and we're looking at a few drivers as well who's been performing pretty well this season overall. Marcus Olsen for one. He's pretty far down the order at the moment in 14th place. He'll be looking to put in a quicker lap here within the final 3 minutes of qualifying, amongst a few others as well. So I think we might see an even further bunching of the drivers here on the timing tower on your screen. So all pressure on now, and we'll see just how it goes.
Oh, indeed, we will. And as time continues to trickle away here, less than 3 minutes left in this qualifying session, and all drivers are right now trying to find those best possible laps with Mulder Edrup, who is the man to be, just improving his lap time there to a 59.583, an absolutely stellar lap, and puts over a 10th between himself and Victor Truslow Nielsen. And will the two teammates there, remember there's no teammates as such in this championship, it's purely a driver's championship, but they'll be happy to look out the front row and know that that's going to give them a little bit of a tactical advantage going into lap 1 of race number 1. But then looking to Vitas Bevere, who currently making his way on around down in P20, the lowest placed of all of our drivers, but lowest placed by the best part there of what is, by comparison, 7.5 tenths off the overall pole. And well, right now he'll have plenty of opportunities to make up places when we do go green flag racing, but what can he do here as he crosses the timeline? Is he able to move on up? No, he's not. It stays where he is, and he will have one more roll of the dice. I don't think he's going to squeeze in a second lap after that one. It'll be clinically close, but as he comes down into turns 2 and 3, you see there that long trail braking zone which will catch many a driver out. But here we look back to what is one of our faster drivers out there at this time, and I believe that's Risto Anderson once again. And he's been one of those drivers, Hasse, over the course of the season, hasn't he, for Casper, where he's had so many moments of opportunity, but every time it's almost as if it's just been taken away from him, and he's just been the victim of the circumstance.
He certainly has. It's not quite been the Caesar I think Casper wanted in terms of, well, he's been very good performance-wise, but he's had some poor luck in several rounds that's really taken him out of top contention, even with the drop round that we do have, which is also, of course, worth bearing in mind, and also one of the reasons that Malte Ebrup will be able to clinch the title here tonight if results go his way. Final minute of qualifying, you know what, it's going to be very, very close for Vitus Beva. And you wonder, and I don't remember how this is specifically with league racing and iRacing. Does the session tick over on the dot, or is there a few seconds where you can still get a lap time in? I'm actually not sure. It's going to be very close for Vitus Beva, whether he's going to get that final lap in or not. Meanwhile, Malte Ebrup, more than a 10th clear. That's a big, big gap comparing to, well, the rest of the grid looking at it. It'll take you something like, what, 8 positions, 12 positions to make out the same sort of difference that he has down to second at the moment. That is mighty impressive and shows the class of Malte Ebrup as we're into the final 10 seconds of qualifying. 10 seconds for drivers to get their times in, but I don't think anyone is on a current flyer. And thus, Paul, we have our grid order set for the opening heat here tonight.
Well, indeed we do, and our drivers will line up as follows. There'll be Malte Ebrup, who takes pole position ahead of Victor Truslov-Nielsen by a 1.2 tenths. Then it's a further 9 thousandths to Noah Carlson, who starts P3 on the second row, joined by Luke Reimer. One to watch out for. He's been looking very fast in practice and indeed in this qualifying session. Fredrik Sørensen and Niklas Simonsen complete what is your third row of the grid. That's your top 6. Starting P7 is going to be Gustav Giller ahead of Sebastian Bach. And keep your eyes out for the RS competition Esports driver. He's been denied a couple of podiums this season through misfortune, but he'll be looking to try and sing to the tune of great fortune today. Your top 10 is completed by Magnus Jørgensen and Marcus Tekilson, and then we have just outside the top 10 in row 6 what is Kasper Riese Andersen starting P11 ahead of Niklas Wein. Then outside of your first 6 rows on row number 7, it's Mads Luna ahead of Marcus Olsen. Then we have Asger Lauritsen ahead of Sander Broberg. He's uncharacteristically all the way down the 8th row of the grid starting P16. We normally see him inside the top 10, if not the top 5. And it'll be Gustav Wimborg ahead of Martin Bertelsen on what is row number 9. And in your final row, the grid is made up of Casper Tunstedt and Vitus Beva, 2 drivers who normally start a bit further down the running order, particularly Casper Tunstedt, but they're 2 drivers as well who make a lot of progress. But we look to the man who knows that destiny is in his hands. He may not be able to wrap it up entirely in this first race, but he's picked up the 3 bonus points already for pole position. He's now got to find another 35, and here's his main rival. The 2 friends, the 2 teammates turned rivals and enemies, albeit I think it's going to be all friendly outside the circuit, and we're just waiting for the last couple of them to slot onto the grid.
Yeah, as the final cars are gridding, Paul, we're awaiting the action here from the Circuito de Navarra in the north of Spain, close to the Basque Country, close to the border with Rioja, as well as we're in a region that serves some excellent food and some excellent wine indeed. And I don't think I can speak about it. I could speak about it for hours, but I'll hand over to you for the race start.
Oh, thank you very much. And indeed, because we're going to have the best part of 20 F4s get underway. It's lights out and away we go. And as they roar their way away down towards turn number 1, it's a great start from a plenty of a driver there. Malte Ebrup getting the best launch of the first 4 drivers. You can see that Victor Truslov-Nielsen immediately going defensive. They come for the King for 1. In towards turn number 2 they go. Oh, goodness me, big incident already. And I believe, unless I'm very much mistaken, that is Luke Reimer who's taken the ship all the way out towards the weeds, but he's been able to stay on the escape road as our drivers make the way out turn number 3 in towards 4. The Concertina effect, they're absolutely catching out many a driver, and all of them very eager to make some progress, right all the way down to P17 as a result of that contact. But they now make their way over the crest and down towards turn number 6, where it's going to be line astern for a period, albeit a bit of a squirm there in the rear of the picture. And I believe that's Kasper Riese Andersen looking for a move on Sebastian Bach, but further down it's 2 by 2, if not 3 wide there, and that's plenty of moves being made. Asger Lauritsen now up to his P11 there as he tries to hold on to the position, and as they come on through the corners and up the hill to complete what is the first tour of the circuit, the first of many. That gets very, very tender and close, and I believe that's being made by Fredrik Sørensen there to try and move his way a little bit further up into P13. But what a brilliant open lap, Hasta.
Yeah, beautiful start from the leader. Malte Ebrup got perfectly away ahead of Victor Truslov-Nielsen, and then I think it was indeed Luke Reimer who got a slight tap to the rear end. He sort of spun the car, went very quickly backwards, and then somehow managed to spin it around and keep it rolling. I don't think he has too much damage. I'll tell you what, that could have been way worse for a lap 1 shunt. So far it's been, I'll say, relatively clean, apart from that little bit of a mishap here, and Malte Ebrup now feeling the effects of the slipstream. with Niklas Simonsen having gotten past on Noah Carlson for P3 as well. And a little bit of a gap opening up already there. So we've been talking about all this slipstreaming, but if the gap grows between, I think it's, or above, I think it's what, like 1.2, 1.3 seconds, that it's going to be something like that. And those effects really start to wear off, and we might see someone break away after all. Here we have a replay of that lap 1 touch. Oh, that is actually further back on the field as well, but very similar, I think, to what happened to Luke Reimer as well.
Yes, indeed, and I think that might have been Martin Bertelsen who was caught up there with Sander Brobert, so the two drivers who did start a bit further down the order, just a bit of a miscalculation under braking, I believe. I think that was from Bertelsen, and that's what set off the effects. But meanwhile, as we come back to those live pictures, well, we're looking now to what is that Nicholas Vine trying to push onwards here, running in P11 currently, and as he makes way through, in fact, that's Magnus Jönsson. I'll get myself corrected there very quickly as I head over the rise and down towards turn number 6, and in towards that braking zone they go. We're just behind there, too wide, almost on the break, it's very, very close there as all drivers make their way through. Further up in the background of the pitch, you can see Kasper Riese Andersen still battling with Sebastian Bach as well, so it's 2 by 2, plenty more, and we're going to see this time and time again. But as you mentioned earlier, Hassan, the fact that our two leaders are already putting in the best part of a second's gap. They've almost broken the toe, and the problem is right now, everyone fighting like this as we get a replay of what happened.
Yeah, there we have it. Just not enough space on the row of cars. The centipede, as I like to call it. There's just that slightest tap, but it's going to unsettle the car, spun him around 180 degrees. I don't think it's going to cause any damage to the car, at least not visibly. Maybe a little bit on the front wing there. So I think there was a little bit of a touch as he was spun around, and incredible that no one else really just plowed straight on into him. With such small gaps, the reaction times have to be basically instant here. Sebastian Bach, 6th place now, as he is fighting Kasper Rieshøj Andersen in the number 12 car, who's done a storming start from further back on the grid to already be within top 5 contention here after just a few laps of racing, Paul. Very, very good job from Kasper in the number 12 car, and we spoke about it as well. He would have wanted more from his season. His performances has been good here. He's kind of locked out on the outside of the final corner. He will get a good run though. But now being denied the slipstream, there will be a little bit of a helping hand on the side, but it will not be the same as being right on in behind. No wish of making it 3 wide as of just yet, at least. I find this course has a little bit of Suzuka about the opening sort of corners, and then a little bit of Fuji on the final corner there as well. Maybe with a little bit of Barcelona in between for the middle sector, and then of course at least in these forecasts, those they aren't the fastest cars in the world, but the racing doesn't get any better than this, to be honest. But some big long straights, as we've already seen. That's a big move there from the 11 car of Gustav Kille, and he makes it stick. That was quite the move of the night so far from Gustav Kille. Might just have made up 2 positions at that pole, I'm not quite sure, but it looked like a lunge from a mile back. Impressive of him to just find the space to slot in there ahead.
Oh, 100%. I mean, Gustav Kille absolutely licked the stamp and sent it. Now, Marcus Olsson will be under pressure to try and find a way to repeat the same as they head in towards turn number 1 once again. He's going to look to the outside initially here, put a little bit of pressure on to go for the cut back into 2, but can't quite find it. But what a move, what a send there. And that was a first-class move, no doubt about it, from Gustav Kille. Got it absolutely stopped on the dime at turn number 6, and that's what we love to see. Whilst this has been playing out in the stewards' room, they've already been very busy analysing what happened in the open lap. We do have a drive-through penalty for the number 5 of where's Fredrik Sørensen. I do believe he may have served that quite early on. He served it off camera, and as a result, that is going to be a bit of a frustrating start today, and that was for the open lap contact into turns 1, 2, and 3. But as all the drivers carry on here with certainty, well, right now we look a little bit further back up the order, and this is Niklas Sørensen holding off Noah Carlson right now as they make their way out of turn number 8 and on to the start-finish stretch they go. The gap to leaders now standing at 1.6 seconds, and that is going to be something which is going to be a gap that's very hard to bring down when Edrup and Nielsen are working together at the front of the field. And we can see that confirmation there from Race Control at the bottom centre of your screen. We've got in the number 5 picking up the penalty, but meanwhile, it's going to be almost 3 wide there for a brief moment as they headed through turn 1 into 2. And Reese Anderson there, holding the inside line, trying to make sure that Gilson can't go all the way around the outside, gets it done. And there's a big run wide there from Gustav Killer, as meanwhile, Marcus Olsen squeezes his way on through. And here comes Nicholas Vine as well. And Vine's going to go all the way around the outside here, coming through turn 3 towards 4. He's going to have the throttle absolutely pinned here as he heads on down towards turn 6. But is he going to be able to get the move done? We know that Killer's very late on the brakes here when he needs to be. It's the number 1 of Olsen in the foreground, looks up the inside there to Gilson. And as they come out of the corner, right now, it's going to be 2 by 2. You'd think it's Noah's Ark, but no, it's not. It's Lakita de Navarra. And as they make the way out of turn 7 in towards 8, on the braking zone they go once again. It's still 2 wide all the way around. And Nicholas Vine in the end gets his elbows out a little bit. And it's going to be Gustav Killer who's just made to run out wide slightly, albeit a love tap between the tyres of the 2 of them. And down the start finish straight they go. And meanwhile, all the way on the inside there is number 15, Marcus de Kilson, who doesn't want any part of this as they all scramble for slipstream off of each other. And as they come on through again, goodness me, it's going to be absolute drama and daring on the brakes. And there's going to be a big lock up there from Marcus Olsen, almost taps the rear of de Kilson as they come on out. And Luke Reimer now, well, he's got the popcorn seat view here, Hasse.
Yeah, perfect position to see what's going up ahead. And Luke Reimer with a very good exit there, but heading down to the left-hander here is going to have to... Well, you know what? It's going to become the right and the right side to be for the next one here. The inside line coming in here. Impressive job from Luke Reimer, considering that he had that little bit of an incident on the opening lap to move himself up through the field, now back up into the top 10. And as I say that, he loses 10th place yet again to Gustav Kilo, and there just about runs out of room, and he taps the car up. I think that was Niklas Vine in the number 8. Then he's not happy with that. I think the expression on the camera there from Luke Reimer said everything about it. And the stewards might have to take a look at that. Such a marginal track as well, Paul. We're really seeing it here. Or I think it's damaged as well. Either that or he just made a mistake there, Luke Reimer.
I'd definitely say it's damaged based on the way the car slid away from him, and I think the frustration for him will be in the fact that whilst he's been nursing the car after what was a limited amount of damage in that first contact, as you actually pointed out earlier on, now he's really going to have a car that's damaged, but also he's going to have the threat of a penalty looming over him. Of course, the stewards will take a look at it from multiple angles. That's their real-world race analysis that they'll be employing here as part of their stewarding, and I think we're going to be getting an update on that shortly as to what they feel has happened there. Whether they'll look at it after the race, we'll wait and see. We've still got plenty of race time to go. To be fair, as that is very close. It's on tenterhooks between the 13-11 of Asger Lauritsen and what is Gustav Killer, as Luke Reimer is into the pit lane and he makes his way down to in a damaged car. But meanwhile, that unleashes the horde here, and it's 4 wide as they head down towards turn number 1. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen, as it's going to be all about the squeeze here as they all squeeze each other into turn 1. They just about survive. Oh no! It all goes wrong, and that's going to be Killer and what is Lauritsen both going off there at turn number 2. And in the end, just by being on the inside, completely out of danger, what it does mean there that none other than Nicholas Vine is going to sneak his way through, and so does Peter Spiver, who's found his way through. So those two are now going to be fighting, and they find themselves rewarded with a fight for P10. Well, how about that?
Well, evidence, Paul, shows us that a situation like that is going to have a 50% survival rate, as we see here. I would have given it less, maybe 0 to 25. Just at the tap on the inside as well. Oh my word. They were getting a little bit frisky with that move, I'd say. 4 wide. It is a wide track. It isn't the biggest cars in the world, but trying to squeeze 4 cars through a corner like that, it's going to be very hard to make it work out, to say the very least. And I think, I'm afraid as well, that a few tears might be the end of this race for 2 of those drivers. Markus Terkelsen, 15 car on the tail of Sebastian Bach in the battle for 5th place. And with the sort of scrappy opening part of this race we've had, Paul, there are gaps that we didn't really imagine when coming into this round. We were speaking about it. It was going to be a slipstream fest. It was going to be hard to break away. But we're seeing some sizable gaps throughout with all the battling as well. That's Markus Olsen at the inside of his namesake, Markus Terkelsen. And Terkelsen then with the inside for the next one, but Olsen, as it switches back on itself. A nice complex, that final bit that really allows for the cars to stay too wide and for each side of the track to have a chance of both attacking and defending. And that's what I like to see in a well-designed racetrack. Marcus Terkelsen just cedes the position for now as well, or at least we've got 8.5 minutes left of racing here, Paul, so certainly there'll be chances for Terkelsen to get passed up into 6th place. Both of them will be looking to climb into the top 5. Out ahead, it's still Malte Ebrup and Victor Trusno Nielsen. And I'm just saying this because we haven't really seen many pictures of it. But as you said before, they've been working together. They've been waiting with commencing with the battling. I think they'll put it like to the final 5 minutes. That's just my guesstimate, the best I can do. I think we'll see the battle heating up at some point, but they probably want to make sure that everybody else isn't exactly on their tail the moment they start battling. It's been a little bit like a bike race, a breakaway that you'll be friends until you're not anymore. And I think this is exactly what we're seeing from the 2 leading cars here.
Oh, most definitely. I would agree with you there, given the fact that our 2 leaders both went into tonight wanting to take wins. With Malte Ebrup, a minimum of top 3s in both races was his target, and Victor Trusno Nielsen was a target of getting more wins on the board in order to build up momentum. But meanwhile, coming back to Marcus Terkelsen, one thing that's very intriguing, and many of you eagle-eyed viewers may have noticed when we did have what was his on-board camera, he's absolutely smiling. And I can tell you one thing, he came into tonight with no expectations whatsoever, but all he was aware was the fact how strong the slipstream is, and he seems to be absolutely loving it running in P7 currently on the back of Marcus Olsen and Sebastian Bach. And I get the feeling he's going to be feeling as though there's plenty more places to be gained here. So we've got a couple more penalties coming the way from race control. Number 7 for causing a collision, that's 10-second penalty for lap number 1, and that would be going the way of Gustav Wimbor. And we also do have the number 19, and that being Luke Reimer for causing a collision, a 5-second penalty. And many of you may remember that in the frustrating moment for Luke where he made that contact coming out of the final corner. His hand went up immediately, knowing that he was probably going to be under investigation for that close racing that went wrong. And in the end, for Luke Reimer, it has gone the wrong way indeed. But time continues to turn down. Now 6.5 minutes left on the clock, plus the final lap. And well, as the battle for P5 continues to be the mainstay of our cameraman's focus at this time, we're on the way through at turn number 5. Marcus Terkelsen just staying up there, waiting on the back of Marcus Olsen right now, and Sebastian Bach just trying to pull away. And well, as soon as I say that, Terkelsen looks to go up the inside, hard on the brakes there, and Marcus Olsen leaves the door open, and Bach's going to be looking behind him and saying, please keep on fighting. And these 2 haven't stopped fighting yet as they roar the way through 7 in towards 8. And well, Terkelsen absolutely eyes of a hawk right now, making sure that he's clear every time he comes into those braking zones and looking to get the launch. He roars his way onto the straight.
Yeah. Indeed, Marcus Olsen got a scrappy run there through the final bend, and it gives Terkelsen a very, very good run. Pushed all the way onto the pit lane there, but he will have the inside to wait the yard through 1. Then slight braking into 2, then very hard braking into turn 3. And Marcus Terkelsen, this time around, gets the job done. It's all about getting the car well ahead so you can sort of control the speed on the exit of the corner and make sure that the car behind doesn't just slingshot right past you on the following straight here. As Marcus Olsen maybe a little bit disgruntled with the qualifying. Maybe it's not his strongest track, but we've seen him very good on most of the tracks we've been at this season. So a little bit surprised to see him fighting that bit further down the pack than we're used to in the number 1 car. That said, it's a high level all the way through the grid here, Paul, and judging by the look at his face, it's full concentration mode.
Oh, 100%. Can you imagine just even the smallest of mistakes? We've seen it round after round. We'll hold the phone there. There's going to be an opportunity to go around the outside for Terkelsen, around the outside of Bach potentially, but no, goes that little wide, and Olsen just simply goes, you know what, I'll sneak my way back up there. So very, very patient. He, I think, is playing chess where everyone else is playing Formula 4s, and as they make the way out to turn number 3, 4 and 5 right now. And that's Marcus Olsen back up at the P6, but Terkelsen's going to be immediately back on him here. Sebastian Bach must be loving this right now. He's looking behind him and thinking, please keep on on fighting. I'm absolutely enjoying just making you two scrap over what is 6th place. But as they come down in towards turn 6, no fighting this time. And I think the two Marcuses there both respect to the fact they need to make sure Back doesn't sneak off into the distance as much as he would love to as they head in towards what is the final corner of this lap. But the gaps between our packs are trying to gradually creeping open. It really is getting more and more of a major cycling event vibe here where we've got the packs, and meanwhile we come the way to the front of the field, and this is Victor Nielsen who we ride on board with as he continues to run on the back of his main rival and his championship rival on Mother Edrup. But it looks as though he has still being very patient, and he's not really looking for the move right now. I wonder whether it's all going to come down to that final lap and the last ditch resort there.
I think Victor knows that the nature of the track is as such that if he overtakes him now, he'll be I wouldn't say a sitting duck, but there'll be plenty of opportunities for Malte Ebdrup to go and reverse the move upon him. What he wants to do is try to set it up as late as possible to really take away the chance of Malte Ebdrup getting back at him in any way. I think it's a pretty smart strategy, although it really requires you to be able to seize the moment. And the number 14 car gets a drive-through for causing a collision. That's Magnus Janssen, currently 11th. Change of position there between Gustav Wingbo and Kasper Thunstad. So Marcus Janssen comes into the pits as well. That's gonna get Vitus Beber up into 10th place here. So a top 10 on the boards for Vitus Beber. That's gonna be a nice result for him, given that he started dead last on the grid, on the final row at least.
Most definitely a result that's going to just improve his chance a little bit more with regards to potentially finishing inside at the top 10 come the end of the season in that championship. The drivers all make the way around. Meanwhile, we come back to the battle for P3, and that is going to be side by side between Noah Carlson and Nicholas Simonsen as they go on for a big slide there from Simonsen. He comes out of turn 6 in towards 7, going as defensive as he can here. He's absolutely feral with regards to how he's positioning the car right now in order trying to hold on a little bit longer, and Carlson tucking back in. And many of you remember, of course, we've only had 3 winners this season over the course of what has been our 8 races so far. And Noah Carlson was one of the first ones taking that win in race number 2 at Spa-Francorchamps. Well, it couldn't be a win today, but it could be at least a P3 if he's able to squeeze his way out the inside 2 where they're going then to the kink of 1 and in towards 2. They go hard on the anchors, and he's going to get himself firmly up the inside there. Nicholas Simpson just simply leaves the door open and looks to sweep the momentum back behind, and will after this lap they'll very likely get 1 more in, if not 2. I suspect it's just going to be 1 after this one as we jump back on board now with the man who went from being the hunted to the hunter, and Nicholas Simpson here getting up the draft, pulling to the outside, and will be very quickly looking to flick his way back to the inside if he can. Will he go for the dummy? Will he go all the way round at the hairpin? Well, he's going to try and go all the way round, as meanwhile it's 3 wide a bit further back there, but we stay absolutely transfixed on these 2 drivers here as they make the way out of the corner, and 2 wide they go into turn 7, up the rise into 8, and Simonsen that's still up there on the outside. Carlson absolutely refusing to budge an inch as they come towards the timeline. We will get 2 more laps in here, given our race leaders are going to cross that timing line with 1 minute and a second to spare. But as the drag race roars its wound down, well, this time it is going to be at Nicholas Simonsen around the outside, as meanwhile your leaders Edrup and Nielsen now become the focus of our attention, because they could theoretically be on what is that final lap, albeit they continue to hold their positions. And then Carlson back on the inside here versus Simonsen. It is an absolute battle back and forth for the final spot at the podium, and Nicholas Simonsen not giving up here at all, as they make the way around through the kinks of 4 and 5.
Yeah, I think with what we've seen so far this opening heat here, the second heat could be chaotic with the reverse grid for the top 8. It'll be a little bit less orderly in terms of the pace of the individual drivers here, as Noah Carlson defends his 3rd place with vigor indeed. He is just a lap away, or so we expect. We haven't seen the white flag yet. It's going to come out this time around. It's going to be the final lap here. And now eyes on the prize for Victor Nielsen. If he can set it up on this final lap, he'll take the win away from Malte Ebdrup at a crucial point. And now we see them starting to jiggle about. Oh, and Malte Ebdrup takes a whole lot of curb there in turn 2. They're side by side for 3. It's a little bit of a squiggly one on the exit for Ebdrup as well. Victor Nielsen up the inside. He might just get it here, and if he does, it's well timed, Paul.
Indeed, it's fantastic timing as they make their way too wide now through turn number 5 and up the rise they go. It's going to be a drag race towards the penultimate heavy braking zone here as they head on down. Nielsen on one side, meanwhile Edric on the other, and Edric back up the inside. They're absolutely going all in, gets his elbows out there, forces Nielsen to run a little bit wide, albeit fairly, and as they come into turn 7, well now Victor Nielsen's going to be on what is the outsiders as a rub to the radiator panel. Oh, the brakes, Edric goes deep, he goes deep and locks up, and Victor just said Nielsen will be running away to take victory here, the second time he's done it this season, and you can see the look at his face. He knows he's outfoxed the wily Mulder Edrup, and in the end he has taken victory ahead of Mulder Edrup by 6 tenths. P3 goes the way of Noah Carlson, ahead of Nicholas Simonsen and Marcus Olsen completion top 5. Sebastian Mack P6, Marcus de Coulson P7, and Casper Risa Anderson with P8 nets himself what will be reverse agreed pole position for the race number 2 of the day with that top 8 inversion. And your top 10 is completed by Nicholas Vine and Vitus Bever, but what a way for it to end, Hasse. I mean, I can't believe it. In the end, Nielsen showing that sometimes to win, all you got to do is be the guy who stays on the track.
Yeah, and the guy who times his move right as well. I think it's one of the smartest races we've seen this season from Victor Nielsen and from anyone this season, to be honest. Just waiting and maybe also lulling out. They'll be together. They are teammates after all. They'll be probably communicating on some sort of Discord server or something. As we have the results here, Victor Nielsen takes the win. 6 tenths clear of Malte Ebrup, decided in the last corner it was. What a race here. What a first heat. Can't wait for the second one. Noah Carlson gets the final podium spot ahead of Niklas Simonsen, Marcus Olsen in 5th, and Sebastian Bach 6th place. Markus Terkelsen gets 7th ahead of Kasper Ritoy Andersen, Niklas Vejen, and Vitus Bever rounding off the top 10. In 11th place we have Gustav Wingborg ahead of Kasper Thulsted. Luke Reimer gets 13th. All his bad luck considered, that's not the worst. Aske Lauritsen 14th ahead of Sander Broberg, Frederik Sørensen, and Magnus Jørgensen, he's 17th. And Mads Lunde, Martin Buch Bertelsen, and Gustav Kille rounding off the pack here. Paul, an intense opening heat. A few more incidents that we like to see. And what a finish it was here. I think we have the race winner in for an interview.
Well, indeed we do, and we immediately come to Victor Chislev Nielsen. Victor, what a way to seal your second win of the season, and back-to-back victories following on from Donington Park. I mean, you must feel absolutely pleased at punch with that one. It all came down to the last corner on the last lap, but keeping you cool, keeping it calm, and just lulling your rival into a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, what a race. I knew when there was a little bit of collisions in the back in turn 1 that me and Malte just could run away, but I knew when we went to the last lap it would be a really close fight. So yeah, I just had to keep it cool and yeah, hopefully win the race. And yeah, it was really a cool fight at the end there.
Oh, 100%. And with this circuit consisting of only a limited number of major corners, I mean, it's very heavy on the brakes. We have to ask, how much work do you have to do to look after those brakes over distance? For these hairpins, I mean, it's so easy to go so heavy on the brakes for so long, but I get the feeling the risk of locking up time and time again is something you've got to manage.
Yeah, you can really... my volume on the tires is turned fully up so I can hear when they are just about to lock up, because it's so, you know, every time you go into a corner, it's like, am I locking up now? Because it's just, yeah, you have to really be good on the brakes to not lock up, yeah.
Oh, without a doubt. But going from things locking up to unlocking your potential to potentially keep the championship alive for one more round at Sebring in 2 weeks' time. We know now going into what is the second race today, well, you've got to try and take the victory or take the best possible result. You were saying to us in the build-up to tonight, you're looking for back-to-back wins. Is that still going to be the target starting P8?
Yeah, of course, it's always to win, but I know that the points to gain is in race 2, because that's where, you know, the reverse grid and everything, so everything can happen. And as we saw last time, me and Malte almost crashed at the first lap, but I managed to win the race, and so yeah, anything can happen, and I just hope for the best.
Well, Victor, we'll leave it there. Best luck for race number 2, and we'll see you out on the grid shortly.
Thank you.
So over to you, Hasse. I think we've got our runner-up from race number 1 now joining us.
Malte Ebrup, it must feel a little bit disappointing to have the win robbed in the last corner like that, but also a smart race perhaps from Victor to wait until the last lap and not give you the chance to come back and undo the overtake?
Yeah, it was a really good race. Me and Victor just kept it clean throughout the whole race, and then we agreed to race on the last lap, so that was really smart from our side, so we can just make a gap and make it more safe towards the end of the race. So yeah, I'm really happy, and it's even though I lost it on the last lap, I still got some good points for the championship. So yeah, overall I'm happy.
Yeah, we saw the smiles from the both of you. And coming into that second heat, how do you see the reverse grid playing out for the top 8 at this track here?
Yeah, like always, we just need to keep it a bit clean on the first couple of laps and settle down, and then we'll see how it goes and just work our way up through the field. So yeah.
Malte, thanks for joining us. Congratulations on a strong race in Heat 1 and best of luck for Heat 2.
Thank you so much. See you.
No, I'm not sure if we're going to be able to get a quick word with Noah Carlson, our P3 finisher, given the amount of time we do have before we are going to go to race number 2. In fact, I don't think we will be able to catch a word with our third place finisher, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, but time is of the essence here. And whilst the dust may have settled for a brief moment with regard to the racing at the Circuito de Navarra, well, what a thrilling race to get us underway, and still one more to go. And we believe now that for Molde Edrup, all he needs to do in this second race of the day is score 13 points or more. What does that mean figuratively? It means he needs to finish a minimum of P8, alternatively P9, and take the fastest lap. And we believe, we won't confirm it on live stream today because we don't want to put the champion's curse on anybody, but he could be champion-elect going into Sebring in what is a 2-week period's time. And indeed, Molde Edrup will be thinking about that all the way to the end. And Hasse, what a position to be in. The fact he doesn't need to really make any progress, theoretically, in race number 2 to become champion.
No, but sometimes that's also a hard position to be in because everybody else is going to want to race just as hard anyways. And it's sort of, if you let off yourself and let off the concentration, you might just get caught out by something. He hasn't really been in any incidents really, just except for that final heat 2 weeks ago. So I think he'll just try to do as he's done so far this season, as we have the grid coming up here. Kasper Rishøj Andersen on pole position ahead of Markus Terkelsen, then Sebastian Bach and Markus Olsen rounding off the second row of cars, with Niklas Simonsen 5th and Noah Carlson starting in 6th place. 7th is going to be Malte Edrup with race heat 1 winner Victor Troelsen Nielsen in 8th position. Then Niklas Vejen, Vitus Beber, Gustav Wingborg and Kasper Tunstad starting in 12th place. 13th is Luke Reimer with Eske Lauritsen, Sander Broberg in 15th ahead of Frederik Sørensen, and then Magnus Jørgensen and Mads Lunde on the 9th row of cars. The final 2 on the grid is indeed going to be Martin Buch-Bertelsen and Gustav Kidde.
Well, thank you for walking us through that grid, Hasse. And as the grid gets itself set, we are only moments away from going racing once again. We've still got a couple of drivers to take their way onto the grid. But the thing is as well, whilst it's all about being the champion for this season, a recent announcement was made by the organisers of this championship in the fact that it will be the top 2 who will be picking up the biggest prize of the season. Now, not just necessarily what is your champion. And I believe, Hasse, it's with regards to taking a trip to Iceland, if I'm not mistaken, for a major racing event that follows on naturally from this.
Yes, indeed it is. And as I'm just going to check in on the information, there we have it. Yes, indeed, the Nordic Esports Championship on Iceland on April 25th to 27th. It was originally just going to be the first place driver getting the trip paid. Now it's going to be the top 2 indeed. So I think Victor Nielsen, probably not too unhappy about reading those news. It's going to be a great trip. Iceland, it's a beautiful place, a special place. I've had the pleasure of going there once, and I can only say go there. It's amazing.
Oh, indeed. Well, it may be a cold place most days, but I can tell you one place that is absolutely boiling hot right now, and it's this tarmac here at Navarra as our drivers get ready. The grid is set, the lights are on, ladies and gentlemen, and for race number 2, and indeed for the second time today, it is going to be lights out, and away we go once again as Kasper Rishøj Andersen leads the field away. Can he lead it all the way down in towards turn number 1 with Markus Terkelsen immediately having to go defensive there versus Sebastian Bach as they head in towards the opening corner, and Rishøj Andersen getting an absolutely golden start off of the line as they come on down here. Will be drama for the opening couple of corners. We saw plenty of that on what was race number 1, but not so this time. There's a small lock up there for Terkelsen on the inside front right brake, albeit he's able to just avoid that becoming an excessive lock, and as they all come through, all the drivers safely on through the opening couple of corners. A bit less drama, but still plenty of brilliant battling to go on as they make way. Oh, goodness me, it's huge snap there. I'm not sure if that was do a little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. I think it might have been, but Sebastian Bach there now going defensive as meanwhile Terkelsen goes around the outside trying to capitalise eyes on what is called as there's been an instant further back, and that is going to be a chain reaction. I think that's Maz Luna in there somewhere. No, Vitas Pivet and Luke Reimer, in fact. So Reimer once again having a nightmare day, and here, meanwhile, is Mulder Edrup, who's avoiding all the drama and damage around him, or trying to, albeit he's there in P5, so he's already making great progress. They've on to lap number 2.
He's done that in just 1 minute and 6 seconds. He's had a brilliant opening lap. He's gotten the better of Victor Nilsson, who started side by side with, more or less, as they're going to go 3 wide here into turn 1. Oh, and whoever that was, it's the 15 car of Marcus Takkelsen going way wide. That opens the door for Malte Ebdrup. Sneaks it up the inside, and I said it, Paul, he wasn't going to hold back here because it just doesn't seem to be his style naturally. And he's very good at picking out the opportunities whenever they arise, and we've seen it throughout the season. He's doing it again here tonight. Noah Carlson currently in 8th place. The number 3 car is challenging our opening heat winner there, Victor Nilsson. And then what looks to be at least 2 wide up ahead, just getting themselves settled into the final complex of corners here. Oh, that's Ebdrup. My apologies, that's Victor Nilsson battling the 9 car, is it? Or are we further down? No, it was Ebdrup battling the 9 car of Sebastian Bach there, so apologies for correcting myself. Here we are on board with Marcus Takkelsen, and a very, very good first row seat to the battle up ahead here. Malte Ebdrup just about keeping the car under control on the brakes there, and someone's gone a little bit wide. That's Marcus Olsen having gone wide up ahead, and that just leaves everybody else to come in. And look at who's leading here now. Oh, it's Kasper Rishøj Andersen. He's been good at a couple of occasions, but as we mentioned already tonight, just haven't had the luck. This might be the luck he needs to get a really good result in here. Marcus Takkelsen is trying to get the opportunities in on Malte Ebdrup. He doesn't seem too impressed by the championship leader and perhaps champion to be here if the standings hold out as they are now. He'll be in a prime position there. He has the 10 machine of Niklas Simonsen on his tail. Then Marcus Olsen, Marcus Takkelsen, Victor Nilsson and Noah Carlson with a close race down there. And look at the pack. It's more like a bunch of cyclists we're watching with the closeness of everyone there. A great run here for Takkelsen. Trying to get up the inside. Oh, an almost contact. And I have no clue how Niklas Simonsen just managed to go around the outside of Malte Ebdrup, who got held up at the inside there. Niklas Simonsen, thank you very much. I'm about to have that. He's about to have some more, I think, there with Sebastian Bach. He's trying to put the squeeze on the 9 machine as they head down towards the left-hander here as they touch the wheels. Oh, my word, Paul. If I'm going to have any voice left at the end of these 20 minutes of racing, well, we're just going to have to call in the drivers and tell them to calm down. There's so much going on. We're trying to catch up with everything, and oh, my word, yet again. Who's that going wide? I think that's Sebastian Bach there in the 9 machine, who's now on the left. There are 3 wide up ahead. It's Ebdrup to the right. It's Marcus Olsen in the middle, who's got a very good run in the number 1 car. Out ahead, Kasper Rishøj Andersen is licking his lip. And Victor Nilsson has contact. I think that was Sebastian Bach in the 9 machine. I'm not quite sure. But major damage. Yeah, Bach is off there, I'm afraid, Paul. And it was almost too good to end well as well in that situation. They were racing so close, and that's a heavy touch to the wall and race over, I'm afraid, for Sebastian Bach.
Oh, goodness me, what a few laps there. And, well, as our drivers make the way down, it's not over yet, but this is going to be a much more aggressive form of the Vuelta a España with regard to what is those cycling packs as our drivers roar the way up through. It turns at 6, 7, up towards 8, because as they come through, and we give the opportunity for my co-commentator's voice to have a little bit of a rest there, as they roar the way and around that contact. That'll be one that the stewards are going to have to work on very hard to analyse, no doubt about it. We do have some penalties coming through, for instance, further on, or earlier on, I should say. But right now, speaking of the driver who's further on, our race leader is 3.2 seconds up the road. You would think they were fighting for the lead of this race, given how close that Edrup, Simonsen and Olsen are the top 3 there of that battle. But that's for P2, and our leader has just completely disappeared off into the distance so far. And as they roar the way through, we can see that confirmation, the number 8, for causing a collision right at the start. It's a 3-second penalty, and that is for, where's Nicholas Vine involved in that contact. So therefore, Vine right now knows that his race is going to go backwards at the end of the race. race, and he'll want to try and pull a 3-second gap as much as possible on his rivals, but onto the brakes they go. Once again here down into turn number 6, and right now Mulder Edrup just trying to force his rivals to fight each other behind, because he can't break away unless they fight too hard. And meanwhile, Marcus Olsen side by side with Nicholas Simpson and Victor Joseph-Nielsen, knowing that he's got to go for it here in order to try and keep this championship alive, but he's got to be tactical, and he'll also know he's got a little bit of a black cloud hanging over him for what's that instant involving himself and Sebastian Bach. And then the start finish straight turn number 1. Of course, it was a free-wide situation. He saw a door, he tried to go into that space, it closed. But whether it's on him or whether it's on his rival, that's not for us to discuss in the content booth. But what we are here to discuss is the fact that that double draft there, seen him gain so rapidly, as there's contact between Wes Olsen and I believe Simonson there. Simonson really joins and somehow just feeds his way back into the pack there. You would think that it was all rehearsed and synchronized the way they're fitting together. I can see Hasse in the content booth alongside me is shaking his head. I don't know how they do it, neither do I, my friend, to be honest with you, but they're somehow making it work as they now go line of third for a brief moment over the rise and down in towards turn number 6, and you can see that Takilson going as defensive as he can on Marcus Olsen. It's literally race 1 part 2 once again between the two Marcuses as they come on out, and as they roar the way on through, well, things finally calm down for a little bit, as meanwhile I think that's Nicholas Fine, and behind Casper Tunstead has caught up to the back of this now as well, and two drivers who started on the back row, in fact one of the drivers who started on the back row of the grid in race number 1, Casper Tunstead, suddenly finds himself enjoying a run for P9, but Gustav Killer's the biggest gainer of them all since the start of this race, 10 places gained. He started P20 in the number 11, he's up to P10, and he's at the back of this pack, battling with Tunstead, as meanwhile Edward and Simonson fight each other here, and Simonson around the outside, that's bold, and well, in the end he gets it, stops there. Meanwhile, here comes Joseph Nielsen up the inside, tries to be sneaky about it on his rival and teammate, but in the end Edward sees it coming and says, well, I'll give you the space to breathe, but no more than that, and they finally calm it down for a brief moment as we jump on board here with Marcus Takilson as he builds up the speed and roars his way along. And now I think it's going to be the calm before the proverbial storm once again, as all the drivers here just settling down for a brief moment, although as soon as I say that, Mulder Edrup right up the inside there. Oh, what is Victor? No, that's Nielsen up the inside of Edrup, who went very deep into turn 6, I should say, and around the outside of 7, it'll put him on the inside of 8, and these two absolutely fighting hard as Takilson meanwhile is being swarmed here by Noah Carlson, who's just on the left of your picture, and Carlson trying to find his way through. But I think we've got some more penalties coming here, Hasse, in the fact there's one from the number 22.
Yeah, 3-second penalty from Malte Ebdrup for causing a collision. I haven't quite seen that incident. I'm not quite sure what happened, but I do think that Victor Nielsen was a part of one of those. So we'll have to see whether or not that carries through. But that's going to be a 3-second penalty for Malte Ebdrup. That's quite a lot of places if it keeps on being as close as it is right now. And as we say that, Kasper Rishøj Andersen could take a 3-second penalty and still take the win out ahead, as we see the bump there, especially in the middle of the track, as they make the transition onto the, well, what is effectively the medium layout, as it's called. There we have a replay of Vitus Beva being collected. This was with Luke Reimer. Oh my word. And they couldn't quite agree on how to get themselves untangled. Here we have Sebastian Bach. He got touched there and sent into the wall. That's effectively his race over with, I'm afraid. Then Gustav Wingborg had a spin on his own in the final corner. We spoke about that, Paul. The brakes being tricky on this track, especially in that final corner with the elevation gain. Now back with live pictures as our two championship leaders still go side by side. The running order still Kasper Rishøj Andersen ahead of Niklas Simonsen, then Malte Ebdrup, then Victor Troelsen, Noah Carlson and Marcus Olsen. The front 6 runners as well, but an absolute train of cars here at the moment, Paul. And with 10 minutes still to run, the number 5 car has a drive-through for causing a collision here. That is going to be on. So just have to get the timing out here. That's Frederik Sørensen getting a drive-through penalty as well here. I think Malte Ebdrup just about hanging on to it. Still side by side. Seems like they've been side by side for laps, these two. And up ahead, Niklas Simonsen is beginning to get a little bit of a gap with all the fighting going on. You can really see how costly it is to fight in that way. Paul, do you think Kasper Rishøj Andersen is going to be happy or what out ahead? I think he's in a prime position to take his first win of this season so far. On board we are with Noah Carlson, currently 6th place, and primed we are to have a front row seat of the battling up ahead.
Well, indeed, I think you're right there in the fact that he's just going to run off into the distance. I think he might, I hate to say this, he might get a little bit bored being up front by that margin. But then again, I think he'll also think to himself, you know what? I've been chasing the win all season, or at least the podium. It's finally going to come my way, so therefore he's just got to hold on, not get it wrong. But let's not put the commentators cursing him. And we come to where we are right now. It's Noah Carlson running side by side there with Marcus Takils on the exit. You also saw there a little bit of a rub between the tyre walls of what's Molde Edrup and Marcus Olsen. And as they make the way all the way up towards turn number 1, the reason, well, in fact, I'll come to where I was a little bit quiet there for a brief moment, but as they make the way down 2 by 2 they go. And Noah Carlson here just seemingly holding on as Olsen slides and taps into the side of what was Molde Edrup as they make the way on out, and in the end they both survive that contact. But goodness me, so close between the two of them as they head in towards what will be turn number 5 once again. And Marcus Olsen right now not giving up whatsoever, and keeping in mind here there's a big sideways moment there for Olsen once again. But look at that on the inside coming all the way down. I thought that was going to be their move from what was Noah Carlson, but it's not, as Gustav Killer tries to outbreak everybody on the outside there in the orange number 11, but he's speeds away, and therefore we do have what is all the drivers right now queuing up and trying to square off each other. We've still got 8 minutes of this race to go, to be fair. Marcus Olsen has a brilliant run out of turn number 8, absolutely nails it, but the problem is now he's got to run down the best part of what is a kilometre's worth of straight and try and hold on, where he's got no toe to work with, as Molde Edrup meanwhile tucks into what is a distant toe, trying to sniff the toe of Victor Chisholm-Nielsen. But one of the interesting permutations here is in the fact that 3-second penalty, we've had it confirmed, it is definitely for Molde Edrup, and the instant between Sebastian Buck and Victor Nielsen is separate. Molde Edrup right now, if things were to finish as they currently stand, he would not be wrapping up the championship because he would be demoted out of what would be the top 10. And well, as the drivers make the way on throw, still plenty of battling here as Marcus Takilson still trying to hold off when he's there, the fast charging Gustav Killer, and as they come out of the left hand of their turn number 5, Gustav Killer right now absolutely coming alive here, and it's almost as if, I don't know where Gustav Killer's been up for a good Porsche last couple of rounds, but he's absolutely on the attack right now, and that's not to besmirch the man, but he's absolutely reveling in the conditions here in Spain. And well, who could blame him? He's up to P6 after that move up the inside into turn number 6, now looking for a move here versus Molde Edrup. He's going to go for it here. Here's Killer, and meanwhile we've got Carlson still battling side by side with Marcus Takilson. Keeping away that what is Noah Carlson, he's trying to hold on to P3 in the championship. That's what he set his sights for now in the final 2 rounds of the season when he was speaking to us in the build up to today. And well, these points are going away for him right now if he can't shake off Takilson as they head across that line. Still 7 minutes to go, and Takilson still trying to go around the outside of Carlson here, under braking into turns 1, 2, and then into 3. 2 wide they come on through. There's still 2 wide all the way, and Takilson in the end just has enough breathing room there. Gets the inside of turn 4, but I suspect he will now just get back ahead there of what is Noah Carlson, and Carlson has to give the space to in the end, knowing the fact that otherwise they carry on 2 wide all the way through. They are just going to simply run out of space to work with, and they're going to lose all their rivals. But coming in towards the turn 6 hairpin, and now they're all back into formation, all line astern once again. It's almost as if they've suddenly had a bit of a peace accord here, and I think they're going to go on the attack once again in the next couple of minutes.
Well, we'd expect it to happen at the next corner, Paul. I think they've been 2 wide constantly for the last 10 laps or something here. It feels that way for sure. And we've been having to speak at double speed to have any chance of keeping up with the intensity of the action. Up ahead, though, this is Niklas Simonsen and Victor Troslev-Nielsen. Victor Nielsen in the 21 car up the inside, taking 2nd place here. 5.5 minutes left or so. 3.5 seconds still to the leader, Kasper Rishaj Andersen. But of course, for Victor Nielsen, 2nd place here is going to be very good indeed with the 3-second penalty for Molde Edrup. That is not going to be what he wanted, unless he can find something magical here in the final 5 minutes. Sells a dummy, or at least tries to sell a dummy on... I thought that was going to be an attack on Marcus Olsen up ahead, but Gustav Kille is putting Molde Edrup under a lot of pressure here. Edrup, though, with the inside for the final corner, again on board with Marcus Takkelsen, who has to concentrate on what's in the mirrors as well. As you can see just how close they are, but he might have a very good run, albeit with a blocked track ahead of him, Paul. Let's see what he does.
He's going to look for it here through turn 1, but in the end, back off. And I think he's just going to play his cards right here. There's a little bit of sliding up there on the car. Oh, good speed. And Gustav Killer's going to run out wide as a result of a bit of a tyre tap between himself and Mulder Edwards. So that's going to give the opportunity to Marcus Takilson to move around the outside into what is their P6. And as they come through, Gustav Killer immediately back on his rival. And meanwhile, Noah Carlson's watching this right now and thinking, okay, guys, do what you need to do to each other, and I'll just try and take the places off you. And here he goes then, as Takilson defends on the inside. Killer going around the outside. The amount of grip that Gustav Killer has on these outside lines here. Are we sure those are the same tyres on this car compared to his rivals? He's just finding some magical grip out there. That's testament to his driving ability. And Noah Carlson, meanwhile, watching as they get very close there. Do both Takilson and Killer coming out of the final corner. Still 4 minutes to go, and the best part of 4 more laps, if not 5 of them, remaining in this race distance. And goodness me, I don't know what's going to happen first. The race ends, or we're both going to lose our voices here at the commentating booth. Here comes Carlson, looking to go in the middle. It hasn't worked out for some drivers in the past in this race. He switches back to the inside. This is very inventive thinking from Carlson. He's thinking with his forehead here in the fact that, oh, goodness me, as it all goes wrong. And that's Gustav Killer turned around there, and I believe that was Nicholas Vine who gave him the tap on the rear right quarter, and that sent him round. So I think Nicholas Vine, who already had a bit of a difficult day when it comes to shooting decisions, I think his day may be going from good to bad to worse as we come all the way back up the field. And it's understandable it's happened given the heat at the moment, but right now the heat has not dropped. So we take a quick replay of what happened here, and it just looks like Vine just coming in a little bit too hot and sending Killer around.
Yeah, we were on board with the car that just gets sent upon as well from Nicholas Vine, I'm sorry. And Vine there just running on the road as he's breaking into turn 3, as he's actually concentrated on doing another overtake. These are the incidents that will happen when racing is this close. Back up with the battle for second place. These two are closing in ever so slightly on Kasper Rishøj Andersen. I just don't think they're doing it at a quick enough rate at the moment. It's still about 3 seconds up to the race leader with 2.5 minutes to go. That's going to be near on impossible, barring any freak incidents or mistakes from Rishøj Andersen. I would argue that if he keeps a cool head, he'll have this second heat win in the bag. But Victor Troelsnø Nielsen, what a great race from him here. He has to hold off Niklas Simonsen in the number 10 car. Then behind in fourth, it's Markus Olsen. But the battling here might just have led Olsen and Edrup back into it as well. If we take the 3 seconds added on to Malte Edrup's race time as well, I think he's going to finish in 7th, just about in 7th place. So not that bad, and it'll be enough. More importantly, Paul, it'll be enough for him in terms of our in terms of at least our should we say our provisional calculations. Please do not hang us up upon them. As we're looking at a 10-second penalty on the number 8 car for causing a collision. And
that's Nicholas Vine, the driver who we saw only moments ago come roaring into that braking zone.
Yeah, indeed. He came from out of nowhere, that on the right-hand side of our camera as well, and made the contact, I'm afraid. He's going to have to take 10 seconds. It's a long time here. That's going to put him way down the running order as well. Nicholas Vine into the pits here. So maybe a little bit of damage to his car as well. We're on board with Aske Lauritsen, currently in 9th position. Trying to chase down Magnus Jørgensen up ahead. Then it's Kasper Tunstall into the top 10 here as well. But I feel like even as we're coming on, well, it might not be. I think it's going to be the penultimate lap, just like the other time around. We'll be expecting this at least 30 seconds left. But I don't think we've seen the white flag so far, so there will be another round of racing here to get through. There's the move from Niklas Simonsen, and a well-timed one on Victor Nielsen. And he does it so that Victor Nielsen isn't really able to take advantage of a better run and better traction out of the corner. And now Victor Nielsen has to find his way through. And it is, though. It's the finish. It's the checkered flag here, Paul.
Well, it's going to be his first win of the season, and it has been a long time coming. Look at that relief on his face, because Kasper Riese Andersen, take a bow. You've run away to victory here in race number 2 of the day, ahead of Nicholas Simonsen, and Victor Josef Nielsen completes that overall podium. Marcus Olsen will take P4 ahead of Mulder Edrup, who we believe with his 3-second penalty will be demoted from P5 behind Marcus de Coulson, also Noah Carlson. So that will move Edrup to what is P7, but it will be enough for the crown. P8 will go to Magnus Jørgensen, and then we have Asger Lauritsen and Kasper Tunstedt completing that top 10, with Tunstedt taking one of a limited number of top 10 this season for his rookie season. But look at the face of Kasper Riese Andersen after all the frustrations, the rounds after rounds where it's all gone wrong, and well, I think a few swear words have been uttered as well. Some of them on camera, some of them off. In the end, right now, there's nothing but happiness there, and I can't wait to get a word in with him. But here are results, ladies and gentlemen. Kasper Riese Andersen taking that victory by 3.2 seconds in the end over Nicholas Simonsen. Victor Josef Nielsen in the end doing a lot, but perhaps not enough. But a P3 was the best he could achieve in the second race of the day. Marcus Olsen at P4 there for RS Competition Esports, battling hard with Mulder Edrup every step of the way. Mulder Edrup P5 ahead of Marcus de Coulson and Noah Carlson, who finished P7 there. Unfortunate to be muscled down the order, but right in the thick of the action all the way through. Magnus Jørgensen at P8 ahead of Asger Lauritsen, and Kasper Tunstedt completing your top 10 after 20 laps. Gustav Killer at P11, he really was a missile in this race in many more ways than one, but in the end, unfortunately, coming undone. Gustav Wimborg there, P12 ahead of Mats Lunar, and then Sander Broberg, P14 ahead of Niklas Weyen. Martin Bertelsen at P16, a bit of a quiet race, and unfortunately, we did have the retirements of Fredrik Sørensen, Sebastian Bach, Vitus Bever, and Luke Reimer. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to hand it over to Hasse, because we've got a word with a very happy man in the form of Kasper Riese Andersen. Take it away, Hasse.
Kasper, congratulations on a brilliant win. All the battling behind might have made it a little bit easier, but also for once this season, things seem to go this way here in Heat 2. How do you feel now?
I'm quite happy, to be honest. It has been some tough races. So finally getting the luck on my side is amazing. I can't be more happy about that.
And we said it as well in the commentary booth that you might just be licking your lips out there in the lead over the side, and the prospect of everybody else battling so hard behind. How does it feel sitting out there and sort of, I wouldn't say being gifted, it may be a little bit too much to say, you know, you still have to actually do the driving and put in the effort, but at least being sort of free of all the battling down there, it must be nice.
I mean, it's always nice just driving away and see the battling behind and just see the gap growing. I mean, that's I had some moments, to be honest, at the start, but calmed myself down and then took it easy, and knew if I lost a tenth a lap, it wouldn't change the results. So I took it easy at the end and just took it lap by lap. But yeah, it was quite nice seeing the guys behind battle hard.
And you're now the 4th winner we've had this season over the course of 10 races, so Malte Ebdrup having won a lot. We're going to Sebring in 2 weeks, a track very different from everything else we've seen so far this season. What are your perspectives coming into the final round?
I mean, I really like Sebring, to be honest, but I don't know about the bumps on this car, to be honest, if it can handle it, but I mean, it's a track which fits me quite well, so I'm looking forward to that.
We're looking forward to it as well, Kasper. Thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat, and again, congratulations on a brilliant win.
Ja, i hvert fald den, ja.
Thank you so much.
Well, here and there from our race winner, we come to our second place finisher, Nicholas Simonsen. Nicholas, it's been some time since we've had the opportunity to have a word with you, but back at the podium once again. I mean, that race had it all. We just spoken to our winner, who just went off into the distance. And he sort of disappeared 3 seconds up the road, and I think he had enough time to have a sandwich or something whilst he was doing it. But for you, there was no opportunity to do so whatsoever. That was absolutely intense. What was it like to take P2 in arguably the hardest race of the season?
It feels good. It feels good. Capitalizing on the mistakes from the P2, and even though the P1 was gone, it felt good. It felt good.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, it was battling back and forth, but in the closing stages, you saw it start to break away. And it was a battle between yourself and your teammate, at least in terms of colours, but not on circuit necessarily, Victor Trisov-Nielsen. I mean, the two of you are back and forth, but I get the feeling you wanted it a little bit more right at the end there.
I definitely did. Yeah, just an amazing and amazing pace from Victor as well. It was a great race.
Well, indeed, a fantastic race between the two of you. Now, of course, coming into this round, you were P9 in the championship. You're going to give yourself quite the points haul going into Sebring International in 2 weeks' time. A bit of a bumpy circuit, but is it one that you're feeling as though you can end your championship season on a high on?
I hope so. Keep my head high at least. So, looking forward to Sebring.
Oh, fantastic. We look forward to seeing what you're able to accomplish there. But with that, Nicholas, congratulations once again on P2 in the second race today, and we will see you at Sebring.
Thank you. See you.
And with that, we're over to the final interviewee of tonight, Victor Nielsen, third place in Heat 2 here. We've spoken about these second heats on a few occasions this season being rather hectic, to say the very least. This one was as well. How was it to take part in out there?
Yeah, what can I say after this race? Yeah, just really, really crazy. I just did my best to keep it on the track, and at the last part of the race with Nicholas, I told him I have 14 X's, so I don't want to do anything stupid here, so you can have the position. So yeah, I was how can you say it, farming out there, but yeah, really, really crazy race.
So a result that we think crowns Melde Epdrup as our series champion. We're not quite sure yet, so we're saying provisionally, but by the looks of it. But you've certainly been the one to bring the fight to Melde throughout the season. Still around to go at Sebring. How do you think the racing is going to be at a track that's vastly different from anything else we've had this season?
Yeah, it's going to be exciting on Sebring. A big track and a lot of bumps, so we have to... I'm glad it's not in real life, so our backs not gets killed, but yeah, it's going to be a fun track, and I've tried it before, so I know it will be some good races out there.
Victor, thank you for taking the time to have a chat with us here post-race. Congratulations on a strong race, strong podium finish, and best of luck in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We've had a word from all three of our podium finishers from race number 2. An absolutely enthralling second race at the Circuito de Navarra. And I must say, Hassa, I'm very sad for us to have to say goodbye to the Spanish circuit, because it may have been new to both of us, but come the end of the day, I think we want even more of it.
Yeah, certainly. Can we have a Navarra championship, like with a series just with races here? This has been so good, to be honest. Especially that second heat. You could really see what that reverse grid order for the top 8 does to it. Just an insane amount of action, and really also felt like it was both gloves off and elbows out at the same time for pretty much everyone from top to bottom of the field, presenting us with some of the most intense racing we've seen this season. And that's saying quite a lot. Maybe we didn't quite see the 4 wide down the Camel Straight that we saw at Spa. We did see 4 wide, and we did see going into absolute heartbreak as well there in the opening heat. So a very good track, I would say, to say the very least. It's been a good first experience for me with this track as well. I can't wait to see more of it as well.
Oh, 100%. But speaking of seeing more, of course, in 2 weeks' time, we wrap it all up on what will be the 31st of March, and it will be at the Sebring International Raceway. We'll be heading to the US state of Florida with the sunshine shining high for what will be at the showdown. Provisionally, we do believe champion-elect now is Melde Epdrup. He cannot be assailed at that point, so it will be all about pride on the line for Victor Trisov-Nielsen. And meanwhile, the battle for P3, can Noah Carlson hold on? Well, that and more, you'll have to tune in for 2 weeks' time, where we wrap up the story of the 2025 Dansk Automobile Sports Union F4 Danish Esports Championship. But until then, in the commentary booth, you've had myself, Paul Walsh, and also Hasse Roma. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we have to stay safe, stay well, stay smiling, and most importantly, as always, remember to stay on track. Good night.